One of the things that actually, which you mentioned, which I think is about, building trust in this. There's obviously like the reserve and audit and kind of the compliance requirements that have to get wrapped around this. But I think one of the really critical things that I think is a misunderstanding, but is really important, certainly for banks and financial institutions, which is sort of the traceability and the auditability of this kind of internet native money. And theoretically, while these can be kind of secure private transactions, there's also an incredible amount of auditability here, whether that's from a financial audit perspective or a law enforcement audit perspective or whatnot. As a key regulator in the United States that clearly cares a lot about these issues, how do you think about those issues: traceability, auditability, the ability for law enforcement to do their job?
Yeah, well, I think these are complicated issues that have to be taken seriously, by which I don't mean that there's only one issue that matters here, right? So I begin with the idea that money laundering and terrorism financing are unacceptable in our society, and we're in a world of elevated risk. I think we've known that since 9/11, and I think right now is about as unstable a period as any of us remember since 9/11. So those are important issues that governments have to grapple with. And as I say, we are grappling with it. My colleagues at FinCEN, at the Treasury Department, and other places are looking very seriously at what is the right way to allow this technology to grow without compromising those kinds of legitimate sort of public safety, national security kinds of concerns. Yeah. So I can't overemphasize that. At the same time, I think it's really clear in a free society that there is some amount of privacy, including financial privacy, that is an important value. I sort of think about the prevalence of secure, text messaging apps. There's a reason people use WhatsApp. It's encrypted end to end. Well, why do we allow that? It's hard for the postal inspectors to read your WhatsApp messages. And yet, as a society, I think there's a broad consensus that it's okay for people to have a sphere of privacy in that world. Yeah. Or if you take the iPhone, which was used by the San Bernardino shooters a few years ago to do various things, that was a classic example of an absolutely abhorrent criminal act that caused lots of death, and also had one of the iconic American companies refuse to unencrypt the phone because their belief is that their whole mission is to provide privacy. And, on the theory that hard facts make bad law, they didn't want that example to tear down this privacy structure that they had built. Yeah. So I think we have to ask really hard value questions as a country about how do we balance these concerns. Thinking that we can have private wallet-to-wallet transactions across blockchains that can't be traced by CipherTrace or Elliptic or whatever, ever, is probably a non-starter in a world where we have real enemies abroad that would seek to use, financial services against us. Mm-hmm. On the other hand, telling Americans that all of their private transactions have to be surveilled by the government at all times is probably not also a winning message. So we need to find a balance there. I don't know what the balance is, but I know that we're having discussions and we're going to figure something out, and we'll evolve over time.
And this is global, right? Open societies, freedom of communication, a lot of different dimensions here that have an overlay, obviously, on the financial system as well.